I'm sitting behind the register at the 24-hour convenience store in downtown Boston, trying to force my brain through another chapter of econometrics. Neon lights flicker across the rain-streaked window, and the fall downpour is coming down in sheets. This graveyard shift is one of my 3 part-time gigs: cashier, delivery guy, TA. Just so I can chip away at the mountain of student debt hanging over my head like a guillotine. I'm not the whining type. Growing up, America drilled into me that if you want to make it, you pull yourself up. No handouts. But nights like this, when the clock hits 3 a.m. and the place is dead quiet, I can't help thinking about the canyon between me and the rest of my business administration classmates. Those guys were born with silver spoons. Me? I'm still counting quarters to keep my scholarship alive. The door chime jingles, yanking me out of my head. A guy stumbles in, soaked to the bone. Expensive suit now looking like a floor rag. He weaves toward the coffee machine, pours himself a large black, then drifts to the counter. I recognize him instantly, Julian Hargrove, the golden boy of our program. The one always surrounded by trust fund kids. Especially Marcus, his fiancée or whatever they're calling it these days. I've seen Julian in lecture halls. Perfect smile, killer presentations, professors eating out of his hand. But I've never actually talked to him. Why would I? He lives in a different tax bracket. A single dinner out for him probably costs more than my monthly rent. He sets the coffee down. Rainwater drips from his dark hair onto the cheap linoleum. I scan the barcode, keep my voice flat. $6.50 for the coffee. I slide the receipt toward him. And you're getting my floor wet. He looks up. No megawatt smile tonight. Just raw exhaustion in those hazel eyes, like he's been through hell and back. He pulls out his wallet, taps his card, mutters a quiet thanks, then turns and drops into one of the plastic chairs by the window, staring out at the rain like it owes him answers. I go back to my textbook, but the words swim. Why the hell is someone like Julian wandering around in a storm at 3 in the morning? The networking mixer at the Pru, I'd overheard the buzz, was exactly his scene. Aged whiskey, power handshakes, talk about exits and valuations. Meanwhile, I'm here with instant coffee and compound interest nightmares. The distance between our worlds feels as wide as the storm outside. I steal another glance. He's gripping the cup like it's the only thing keeping him grounded. His shoulders are trembling just enough to notice. Part of me is curious. Most of me is screaming, "Don't get involved. Your life is complicated enough." Monday morning, I walk into the big lecture hall at BU with my beat-up backpack and 2 black coffees from Starbucks. One for me, one for the deadline that's been riding my ass for weeks. Group discussion day on the venture capital project. The one everyone's desperate to ace so they can flash it on their resume to Goldman or Sequoia or wherever. Professor says form your own groups. As usual, the rich kids magnetize to each other in seconds. I claim a corner seat, open my laptop, already doing mental math. Small group, high efficiency, 0 drama. I need a perfect score to keep my scholarship. No room for error. Then Julian walks in. Late, hair still a little messy from last night's downpour. I clock it immediately. No suit today, just a gray hoodie and dark jeans. He looks almost normal, human. He scans the room, eyes landing on me. I pretend to be engrossed in my notes. He walks straight over and drops into the seat next to mine without asking. "I want in on your group," he says, voice low but firm. I look up, meet his gaze. "No," he raises an eyebrow. "Why not?" "Because you'll slow me down. I need an A to keep my funding. You've got connections, a safety net. You don't need the grade the way I do." He's quiet for a beat. Then he gives this small, tired half-smile. Not the Instagram-ready one he usually flashes, but the kind that says he hasn't slept. "You think I'm just arm candy with a trust fund?" I ditched the Pru party, ditched Marcus, ditched that whole circus. I want to do real work. Elias, no crutches, no favors. I study his face, searching for the lie. He doesn't flinch, doesn't look away. There's something in his eyes. Not arrogance, but a kind of quiet desperation that feels painfully honest. Still, I shake my head. I don't trust overnight conversions. You could go running back to Marcus and that life tomorrow. I don't have that luxury. I've got no fallback. The professor starts calling out groups. Julian doesn't move. When it's my turn, I've already mentally locked in a tight 3-person crew with my fellow part-timers. He raises his hand. I'm joining Elias's group, he says clearly. If he'll have me. Every head swivels. Heat creeps up my neck. Not embarrassment, just pure irritation. He's boxing me in right in front of everyone. The professor nods. Jots it down. Done deal. No escape. After class, we stuck around in the library to divvy up the work. Julian flipped open his laptop and started laying out his pitch. A startup valuation model built on real options theory, layered with Monte Carlo simulations for handling uncertainty. I was about to cut in old habits die hard, but then he kept going, and damn, I had to admit it. The guy actually knew his stuff. Not surface-level nonsense for show, but the kind of depth that comes from reading the papers, running the numbers yourself. We dove straight into it, arguing back and forth. I told him his model was way too bullish on volatility. He fired back that I was lowballing the upside potential. Our voices crept up until the rest of the group just sat there watching us like it was a tennis match. I'm not some trust fund poser who only knows how to flash daddy's name, he said, dropping his voice when we both stood up to face off in the quieter corner of the stacks. I used to think clinging to Marcus, to the network, was enough. But last night, standing in that rain, I realized I was suffocating in that cage. I want to prove I can stand on my own. With you or without you, I'm still going to try. I looked at him, really looked. For the first time, he wasn't Julian Hargrove, program golden boy. He was just a guy trying to claw his way back to who he actually was. I sighed, dropped back into my chair. Fine, I said. But ground rules. No missing deadlines, no outsourcing your parts, and if you bail halfway through, I go straight to the professor. I'm not kidding. He nodded, a flicker of light coming back into his eyes. Deal. We kept grinding until the library kicked us out around closing. Outside, the sky was full dark. Julian hesitated on the steps, then turned to me. Thanks for giving me a shot. I shrugged. Don't thank me yet. You still have to earn it. He smiled small, real. I will. I headed toward the tee, mind spinning with one clear thought. Don't let him mess up your plans, Elias. But underneath that, a tiny, stubborn part of me was starting to wonder, who the hell is this guy when the polish is gone? I'm driving my beat-up 2008 Honda Civic, the one Dad left behind before he moved to Florida and ghosted everyone, cruising down Commonwealth Avenue toward Alston. My brain's still replaying yesterday's library debate with Julian. He'd proven at least part of his point. He wasn't all talk. But I was still keeping him at arm's length. My life didn't have room for unpredictable variables. Then I saw him, Julian, standing on the Back Bay sidewalk next to a teetering pile of cardboard boxes, a couple Louis Vuitton suitcases tipped over on the pavement. Thin windbreaker, phone in hand, face pale like he'd just been gut-punched. Looked exactly like someone who'd been kicked out. I slowed, told myself to keep driving, it wasn't my problem, but our eyes met. Not begging, just resigned. Like, I know I look pathetic right now, but I'm still trying. I pulled over, rolled down the window. What the hell are you doing out here? He gave a weak laugh, rubbed the back of his neck. Dad repossessed the condo, because I officially ended things with Marcus. He said if I didn't want to live the appropriate lifestyle, I could figure it out myself. I glanced at the pile. It wasn't nothing. He used to live in one of those luxury high-rises, Charles Riverview's 24/7 concierge, the works. Now he was just another guy on the sidewalk under Boston's gray afternoon sky. I'm looking for a place, he said, but it's messy. Uber won't take all this crap. I sighed. Not pity. I hate that stuff. Just practicality. If I left him here, he'd be standing in the same spot till dark, maybe crashing on a park bench. I popped the trunk. Get in. I know some spots in Alston. Cheap. He looked surprised but didn't argue. It took almost half an hour to load everything. Those suitcases were heavy as hell. Boxes of business books, MacBook. Even some overpriced designer desk lamp I figured he'd have to sell soon. He worked quietly, no complaints, even though sweat was dripping down his face. As we headed toward Alston, the chaotic student neighborhood with its peeling Victorian houses, cheap pizza joints, rap blasting from open windows, Julian finally spoke. "Thanks. Seriously. Don't thank me," I said. "I just didn't want to see you standing there like an idiot. And now my floor mats are covered in your stuff." He chuckled softly. "Fair." I pulled up to a faded 3-story white house with a rooms for rent utilities included $850 per month sign out front. The landlady was this no-nonsense Irish grandma who rented bare-bones singles and didn't ask too many questions. I'd crashed their freshman year before moving to a cheaper shared place. Julian stepped out, took it in. No fancy view, no gym, just creaky wooden stairs and the faint smell of toast drifting up from the kitchen downstairs. He didn't grimace. That surprised me. He just nodded. "Looks solid." She handed over the keys after he paid the deposit in cash. I caught a glimpse of his wallet. Still some emergency fund left. Once she left, he turned to me. "I'll pay you back for gas. And if you need anything, just say." I shook my head. "Don't need it. But here." I pulled out my phone. Shared a Google Doc I kept private. Boston part-time gig apps. DoorDash, Uber Eats, Instacart, Wizant tutoring. The works. "You'll need these. Don't burn through savings forever. Boston's expensive." He opened it, scrolled. "You're juggling 3 jobs?" "Sometimes 4, I said. "But I make it work. You will too, if you don't quit." Julian looked at me longer than usual. Not pity, not sappy gratitude, just respect. "You're not pitying me, are you?" "Nope," I said flat out. "Pity doesn't pay rent. You decide your own path. I'm just handing you some tools." He nodded slowly. "Thanks for not sugarcoating it. Most people would have just patted my back and said, 'It'll be okay.'" "I don't have time for fake comfort," I replied, already heading back to the car. Project deadlines still coming. Don't slack. When I started the engine, he was standing on the porch steps, hands in pockets, watching me pull away. And for the first time, the gap between us didn't feel like an uncrossable chasm. Not because he was broke now, but because he was finally starting to see the world the way I'd always seen it. No shortcuts, just grind and survival. I drove home feeling a little lighter. Not because I'd saved him, but because I knew he wasn't going to fold easily. And weirdly, that made me calm. I hit up this diner most nights when deadlines are breathing down my neck. The school library closes at midnight, and my apartment's too loud with roommates yelling over Fortnite. It's on the corner of Beacon and Harvard Avenue in Alston. Open 24/7. Smells like burnt coffee and fryer oil. Cheap as hell, free Wi-Fi. And the Greek owner never kicks anyone out no matter how long you camp. I always take the back booth by the window so I can work and watch cars slide past under the sodium streetlights. Tonight I've been here since 11, Excel open to the VC model. Julian shows up around 1 a.m., paper bag from the convenience store in hand, dark circles under his eyes. He scans the place, spots me, hesitates, then walks over. "This seat taken?" he asks, voice rough from no sleep. I nudge the opposite chair out with my foot. "Sit, but keep it down." He smiles faintly, slides in, opens his laptop. We work in silence for a long stretch. Just keyboard clicks, spoons clinking in mugs, old jazz crackling from the radio behind the counter. Around 2, my stomach growls loud enough to hear. I get up, order the big plate of fries. Cheapest thing on the menu, enough to last the night. When the plate lands between us, Julian glances over. "Split." I push it to the middle. "Go for it. You look like you're about to pass out." He grabs a fry, dips it in ketchup, eats slow. We don't talk for a bit. Then he says, "Quiet. I used to think teaming up with you was the worst idea ever. Now, I'm glad I pushed." I raise an eyebrow. "Don't flatter yourself. You're still slower than me on sensitivity analysis." He laughs under his breath. "Maybe. But you're teaching me how to see risk for real, not textbook risk. But the kind where failure means losing the roof over your head, the scholarship, everything. I stare out the window. A night bus rolls by, headlights cutting across wet asphalt. I work 3 jobs, I say, not looking at him. Morning tutoring high school math, afternoons door dashing, nights at the store. Pay covers student loans and rent, but that's it. Some months I pick between textbooks or eating 3 meals a day. Julian stops chewing, watches me. Why didn't you go for a full ride? You're killing it academically. I've got partial, I say. Debt's still there. Family can't help. Dad lost his job years ago, Mom's a night shift nurse. They tried. Now it's on me. He nods slowly. I get it. Not in a pity way, just, I'm learning it. Before, everything felt easy because I never had to count dollars. With Marcus, with my dad, money was just numbers on a balance sheet. Now I look at a rent invoice and I'm actually scared. Like, gut scared. I meet his eyes. For the first time, the shine's completely gone. He's just a guy struggling, same as me. Scared of what most? Ask. He exhales, looks down at the half-empty plate. Turning into a shittier version of my dad. He lived to accumulate, to prove he'd won. But he never really lived. I was on that path, power couple, networking, big deals. That night at the Pru, watching Marcus talk exits without seeing people, I realized I was dying inside. I don't want that anymore. The air between us feels heavy but not bad. I nudge the fries closer to him. Finish them. Deadline's still there. He takes the last one, gives a tired smile. You know what, Elias? You're the first person who hasn't tried to pat me with empty, it'll be fine bullshit. You just give it straight. I like that. I shrug. Truth's cheaper than comfort. And way more useful. We keep grinding until dawn creeps in, sunlight spilling across the diner windows. Julian yawns, shuts his laptop. Thanks for tonight. And for the fries. Don't thank me, I say, but the corner of my mouth twitches. Models due tomorrow. Don't oversleep. He stands, slings his backpack. Before leaving, he pauses, looks back. Elias, you ever think about just letting it all go? Even for a second, just to breathe. I glance outside. Boston waking up, cold wind rattling the glass. Yeah. Then I remember if I let go, I lose everything. So I keep going. You. He's quiet for a beat. I'm learning how to choose again. And maybe I'm choosing to stick around you a little longer. He walks out, leaving me with an empty plate and this strange warmth in my chest. Not butterflies, not yet. Just recognition. 2 guys from opposite sides of the tracks, sharing fries and the same quiet fear of what comes next. And for the first time, that distance between us doesn't feel impossible to close. I close my laptop, pay up, step out into the early morning street. Boston wind hits cold, but I feel lighter than usual. Maybe because tonight, for once, I wasn't fighting alone.